So let's explore both these avenues. One is how do you approach creativity and experiments when it comes to content creation? How do you go about it? And another part is how do you now then approach consistency and perseverance? And how important does that become in the long run, right? So let's explore both these aspects. So first, let's start with your recommendation or your advice when it comes to creativity and experiments when it comes to your content.
So I guess creativity and experimentation definitely is very important. Creativity because honestly, as a content creator, right, there's a difference between who a content creator is and who a content curator is,
Mm,
right? So I personally feel a lot of people who call themselves content creator, right? These aren't content creators because creating is something when you're creating something out of thin air, and all
mm,
the ideas that you're coming up with are new. But most of the things that you consume today on internet have one or the other way been already said or passed on in one form or the other by people who have come on this earth before us. So if I'm being honest, even I'm not a content creator, I'm more of a content curator where I am being very creative with the way I am putting forth out some form of content that has already existed. And it's me putting it out to my audience in a way they understand it better than the previous guy did. So creativity is no doubt very important. You cannot risk being monotonous, especially when even content creation as a game is very, very competitive. There are thousands of creators, most of which do not manage to monetize their audience. You don't want to be that solely because you did not unlock the creative side of things. And experimentation is also equally important because it's a very dynamic field again, right? There are chances where your current strategy does not work. And I guess that's true for any business. Even content curation is a business, right? You're putting out something, you're adding value to the society, and you're expected to get something out in return. You expect something in return. Changing your strategy and experimenting becomes very important if you are not yielding results as often. I guess Albert Einstein has a saying that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, you're no shorter than stupid, right?
mm,
So being stupid in this game or any game of life doesn't make a lot of sense. So
mm,
experimenting definitely helps. And when something works for you, then I guess you should stick to it. Mr. Beast had 1,000 videos before he hit his first 1,000 subscribers, and he worked for like 2, 3 years, if I'm not wrong, right?
yeah.
And finally, he cracked the formula by experimenting a lot. And now, if you see, most of his videos that he currently pushes out today can be categorized into some very specific themes. Because after a lot of experimenting, he's come to a conclusion, ki, boss, this works. I'll continue doing this because this will likely yield me much better results than I was doing something earlier. So experimenting also definitely helps. Shying away from creativity and experimenting is you putting a nail in your own content curation uh, ka hobby as a coffin. So
Mm.
yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly.
Hmm. So when it comes to, I guess someone aspiring to start off, how should they make a conscious decision about creating content that is fully original? And is there a case to be made that they should stick to that, or is it completely fine to sort of repackage, repurpose content like the content curator that you mentioned? Is it like solely an individual choice, or is there something extra that you need to know or need to have in order to be that original content creator and create things that's not out there at all and creating things out of thin air?
So I guess content creation is a very, very difficult task where you're creating something on your own. Because honestly, see, most of the content ideas that you will come across will be inspired from things that you normally do in your life. Most of the content that I create comes from the books that I read, the articles that I follow, the people that I interact with, the experiences that I have. Okay. And it would be it would be too boastful for me to say कि nobody has come up with this idea, because honestly all my ideas are also an inspiration from something that I've experienced that I'm pretty sure anybody else would also have experienced. Fine.
Mm,
So it's more of the latter, but how you use that to purpose, to to come up with that content idea, execute on it, and then finally push it out on your preferred social media, right? That is where you come in.
Mm.
So I feel that I personally feel कि you saying कि नहीं, till the time I do not have a original content idea to work on, I won't push
Mm.
out anything. Then you'll be putting yourself in harm's way, because at that time you will neither be creative nor will you be experimenting. You can't experiment without working. Matlab,
Yeah.
execution is very important. You've got to execute consistently. And that's just you being very lazy in your content creation journey. And you can't afford that, man.
Mm. Yeah. Let's talk about consistency only in that, like now that that you brought it up as well, right? So, uh, as opposed to, I wouldn't say as opposed to as well, so sort of in balance with creativity and experiments and how important that is. How important does it become to be consistent and persevere? So, like you said, Mr. Beast took 2, 3 years, 1,000 videos or whatever it was, and a couple of them I think were just 2, 3 hour videos where he's just putting himself through pain to sort of sit through that as well. So, how important is it to be consistent like this? How important is it to persevere like the way he did?
So, when you earlier pointed out, right, that most of the people attribute their content creation journey's success to luck and virality. And people think that just because it's luck and virality, it's not worth trying, which I feel is wrong. Because 100% I can I can say with utmost certainty that this is for sure the truth about content creation. Luck and virality do play a lot of role. But for you to be lucky, you have to put yourself in certain positions at certain places in life where luck does favor you. Now, for the needle of luck to tilt in your favor, you have to work hard. You have to persevere, because you aren't giving luck enough chance to tilt in your favor. अगर तुम एक महीना करके, if you just do this for 1 month, right? You haven't given enough chance to lady luck to do yourself a favor,
Mm.
and then you're playing against the odds. If you want to have odds in your favor, luck in your favor, perseverance definitely helps. And even for you to understand what works and what doesn't work, it's difficult for you to do that just creating content for, let's say, a month or so, by not having experimented enough, which I guess we revert back to the previous thing we were talking about. By not having experimented enough, it's difficult for you
Mm.
to get any amount of success. And if you aren't working hard or doing this consistently, you won't be experimenting a lot. If you won't be experimenting a lot, it's difficult for you to do anything substantial in this field.
Hmm. I think that that's very nice. That's a very nice way of thinking about it, right? Like the longer you do it, it's not just about perseverance and consistently doing it for a long time. The longer you do it is also longer time for you to consistently experiment. So it sort of goes hand in hand, and it's a combination of both things happening at the same time, which you need to persevere and you need to be experiment for a long time in order to, again, like you said, increase like sort of like the surface area for luck, I guess, and hope that it happens to you. Yeah, I mean that's a great point.